All right, welcome back, guys. So I was talking to my dad the other day, and we're trying to figure out a plan, and we have a basic plan now of what I will be doing within the next year. And the hardest part is thinking about things to do. It's not doing the things; it's sitting down and thinking, what are some good, important things to learn, good skills to learn, or just good experiences to have that are valuable. And it's a little easier because um, he was speaking to Doug Casey about it, and Doug Casey has a list of ideas for a new book of his where it's basically about what he thinks it takes to become a Renaissance man. And so it's a list of occupations, a list of games, of activities, um, different things like that. Which all these things will, in one way or another, benefit you if you are directing it in a direction with a destination. So we were talking about it, and I said to him, I feel like Edmond Dantes when he's in prison. And he looked at me and he was like, no, no, you're not Edmond Dantes in prison. And I was like, no, no, I don't mean that I feel like I'm trapped or I feel like I'm in the 1800s in some terrible prison, the Chateau d'If, barely being fed, being whipped on the anniversary of me, every anniversary of me going to the prison, barely ever seeing the sun. That's not what I mean. I mean that I feel like Edmond Dantes, when he was in prison, when he was plotting his revenge. Now, I'm not plotting revenge, but during this time, and if you don't know Edmond Dantes, it's from The Count of Monte Cristo. He's the main character in The Count of Monte Cristo. I have the book back there, which I need to read, but I've seen the movie, and the movie is great. It's one of my favorite movies, and I recommend everyone watch that movie. It is a good one. Of course, my dad told me the book's better, and I will read the book eventually. But so he's in this prison in the Chateau d'If. He was betrayed by everyone around him, and when he's in the Chateau d'If, he's thinking, "How can I get my revenge?" And then, and I might spoil some things in this, and if you don't want to hear it, then just don't watch this video. But he ends up meeting this old priest in the Chateau d'If, and this old priest says, "I can teach you how to read. I can teach you how to write. I can teach you economics and mathematics." And learning all these things allowed Edmond Dantes to become the man he would be when he escaped the Chateau d'If. Because if he had just escaped the Chateau d'If uh, without knowing the priest or without learning those things, then, well, first of all, he wouldn't have found his. He wouldn't be rich, but he also wouldn't have the proper skills to become the type of man who could execute what he executed. And he also, yeah, he just wouldn't have been able to do anything he did. He also, during that time, because he learned those things, you could see he became more confident. Because before then, he could not, uh, it was either he couldn't read or he couldn't write, or both. But he gained great confidence from learning those things from the priest. So that's what I meant. Not being stuck in the Chateau d'If and feeling like I'm trapped. Not at all. But just that there's so many possibilities and it's a time for learning. Which I think is what college is supposed to be. It's like your college is supposed to be like your Edmond Dantes in the Chateau d'If with all these possibilities and you have to pick from them and go, I'm going to study this, this, and this so I can become a more competent person. Of course, it's not that for 98% of people, but it's a playground. It's a kid's playground where you have to attend some classes, but there's alcohol, drugs, and sex added onto that. So it's just adult preschool. But relating this to great men, which I'm not saying I am one at all. This channel is not about me in any way. I do not believe I'm a great man at all. Any great man you look at, if you look at their lives, if you even spend just a couple days reading a book about them, then you will see that they were like Edmond Dantes when he was stuck in the Chateau d'If. When they were very young, sometimes 14, 15, 16, but there was this time period. Let's say they started actually directing their lives when they were 16 years old. It'll be from then till they're in their mid to late 20s. This time period of them having so much they could learn, even way before the internet and way before modern times. There was so much they could learn as long as they applied themselves in a certain direction. Edmond Dantes was looking for revenge. This does not mean you have to look for revenge at all, but it means that he knew what he wanted, he was going after what he wanted, and he was learning skills while he was in this place. And you could just imagine, you put yourself in the Chateau d'If, which is, you have all these things you could learn, you have all this freedom, but you have to put restraints. You have to self-restrict yourself. You have to restrict yourself in order to get the desired results, which is becoming competent in different things so that you can achieve your goal, which could be revenge, or it could be redemption. Who knows what it is? But if it's Benjamin Franklin, if it's Teddy Roosevelt, if it's Sir Richard Francis Burton, all those men, it was the same. They were all like Edmond Dantes. So, and I think that's actually the best part of the movie, or one of the best parts of the movie, where he's stuck in this place, he's going crazy, he's getting beat, he's almost constantly starving because they only feed you enough to keep you alive. He's losing hope more and more every day. He's counting the stones in his walls. And then he gets this little bit of hope. And then he realizes exactly what he wants, and he prepares himself to execute what he feels he needs to execute. Anyway, I was just thinking about that, and I thought it was a good topic. Not because it's about me, but because I think if you watch the movie and you view it from the lens of, not just from the lens of Edmond Dantes seeking revenge, but as something that could be applied to any young man's life, putting restraints on yourself, realizing that you have more freedom than you can imagine, putting restraints on yourself, and then becoming competent at certain things and directing yourself towards certain goals and eventually an end goal, I think is important. And then relating that back to great men of the past, like, well, any one of them, but Benjamin Franklin, Teddy Roosevelt, and Sir Richard Francis Burton, I think are some great examples of that. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.